Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts. And so this is overnight market prep for Sunday, June 22nd. Going to be going over the usual tickers, but kind of casually. I'm not really, feeling this structure too much today. I do have a request for C3AI, ticker symbol AI, so I will be going over that. But yeah, kind of want to casually hang out for the next hour or so before, just turning in for the night. Got work in the morning. So yeah, thinking about that. And one thing that I should note, maybe, is that I hope you guys all had a great weekend and great Sunday. It's been pretty hot here where I live, and I began enjoying my day around 2, 3 in the afternoon here when the Fevers game started, and I began enjoying myself then. And so I'm not really, I don't have a normal drink, but I do have, this is maybe kind of lame, but I do have a hard seltzer here from Boulevard Beverage Co., which I thought would be brewing company. I think it's backwards for you guys. But yeah, I just got like this 12-pack that, beer and this. And I was not too excited about this, but it's pretty refreshing for a hot day. This is cherry blossom and lime. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, I'm going to pop this away from the mic so it's not too loud for you guys. And yeah, I'm just going to enjoy that. But in all honesty, since I've been pre-gaming all day, I need to hydrate a little bit. So I'm going to be sipping this while sipping some water, getting us ready for, the crazy market tomorrow. But yeah, and also, I think there's a Pacers game going on right now. I was just talking about the Indiana Fever. I think Pacers are playing right now, and that's the final game. And I think the main guy, I forget his name, sorry, I'm not a big sports guy. I think he's out, so that's kind of a sad thing. But anyways, yeah, as you guys can tell, I'm just feeling a little bit casual tonight because of the pre-gaming that I did earlier. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're just going to see where the market opens tomorrow, and we're going to have to deal with it. But yeah, looking at the UVIX, ticker symbol UVIX, which is the 2X Long VIX Futures ETF, closed on Friday at $28.05. Up 2.33% on the day. In the after hours, though, it did pull back, but the overnight, it is up about 3.5% or around $1, currently trading around $29. And so for me personally, my average position size or my average price is right around 32. So I'm hoping it goes up there, beyond up there, but it may not. Looks like the high during the overnight trading was 29.78, have since pulled back a little bit from there to around 27.92. Not 27.92. That's the after hours price. 29.02 is the overnight price. So right around there. And so we'll just have to see. This is, of course, following the 2-week plan to not do anything with Iran, giving 2-week window to negotiate. But the way that I have been trying to appreciate Trump as who he is, how he does things, is I kind of view him as a magician. He's doing something with one hand, but then in the other hand, he's deploying 6 B-2 aircrafts carrying bunker busters that get deployed into Iran's sites. And to be honest, I don't know how many B-2 bombers there were. But yeah, I mean, I think that he's the kind of person that he'll be saying something over here, but then he'll be doing something over here. So I think it's good to expect the unexpected, and I think it's kind of what we got. Don't know how you feel about what happened with Iran, with the U.S. It seems like it's something that, things have gotten escalated to a point. It was something that had to happen, but maybe not. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I don't really think I am. But it seems like it was something that just, got to that point. And so anyways, with that news, we are getting a little bit of a spike in the volatility, but it's not really that much. And we do look at the VIX. There's no overnight trading data here on this, but this closed Friday at 2062, above 20. And maybe we could see this, going up to around 22, this blue line here, or maybe this orange line around 28,376. But I would expect some resistance around there. And so maybe that would correspond with the UVIX getting up to around 32, giving me an opportunity to at least trim my position so I could more comfortably add lower. But yeah, with all of that talk about the volatility spiking up, we could actually look over at the data. I think I've got, this is the ES1 exclamation point. This is the S&P 500 E-mini futures data. And what we can see is that this is actually green for, Monday the 23rd, which is kind of odd. I was thinking about looking at the VIX over here. So I think if I go to this one, which is not the one that's marked by S&P 500, this will include data from the 23rd. Yeah, this actually looks like it's pulling back as well. So that's kind of odd. So maybe that's not, reflective of what we're seeing here in the UVIX, which is showing that this is going up. But anyways, sticking to what I'm familiar with looking at, let's look over at the SPY or the SPY. This is the S&P 500 tracking ETF, which closed on Friday at a price of $594.28, being down about 0.23% on the day. After hours spiking a little bit, about $1. But then in the overnight, pulling back about $2, down 0.33% or so. I could see this potentially coming down to around $5.90. It's just about $2.30 lower than where it's trading at in the overnight trading session. We could see that gap down into the overnight trading, down to $591.58 was the low, bouncing a little bit. But yeah, I think that this could be heading lower, like to $590, right around there, or if it does break below that, $580 could be acting as support. And if that doesn't hold, right around $570. Got a lot of levels over here that I think could be acting as support. And maybe what happens, I'm pointing to over here, this would be the beginning of August. What could happen is maybe we see something like this. And then we get to that confluence of levels. Something like that. It's just a doodle, so don't take it too seriously. But yeah, there's that. I think that this is probably going to be hitting around $590. And then if we look over at the SPX, this is the S&P 500 index, which closed on Friday at $5,967.84, down about 0.22%. And yeah, maybe this comes down to around 5,865, this red line here, which corresponds with the lows over here. This is kind of a nice dip buying level, the range between that red line and that purple line. Any dips bought there could have been sold up here for some nice swings. And yeah, so maybe we're pulling back down to around that level. But just like what I was saying with the SPY, maybe what happens is we do something like this between now and over here. This would be the end of July, beginning of August, right around there. So, that is quite the possibility. And coming down here for the SPX, that would be coming down to around $5,700, somewhere around there. So, yeah, do keep that in mind. Bitcoin, Ethereum, these are ones that are probably more exciting because they had trading over the weekend. And, I have to say, I did just do the Crypto Corner Stacker yesterday. All of my limit dip buys have been filled, other than, Fartcoin, but I don't necessarily plan on buying that because I just plan on being patient. If it hits my level, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. But yeah, Bitcoin hit a low of $98,244.11. Let's just look over at TradingView to see if that is the same. The daily for June 22nd, so today's Sunday, that the low was $98,225.01. And so my dip buy level for Bitcoin was at $101,100. which for last week was at 99,000. I should have left it because I would have gotten a fill, but the week before it was 98,000. And so if I would have left that, I would have not gotten a fill. So I'm fine with this. I'm happy with it. I will get another fill for my daily dip buy tomorrow. And yeah, Bitcoin's currently trading right around 101,000, $22 and some change. So right around where I dip bought at, and we did see this low, like I said, at 98 and some change. And maybe I'll just pull this up over here. I'm not going to pull up my notifications. Maybe there's something embarrassing there because I'm an idiot. But maybe I'll go to my profile. Or actually, no, I'm just going to go to search Matthew Highland. He had some posts. Bulls successfully defend support on close. So his tweet here, it looks like the line here was at $100,718.56. And we closed above that, currently trading at the time of his posting at $100,922.66. And so that looks really good, holding that line that he drew. Although we did hit a lower low, just like we did over here. Again, a lower low. We didn't close lower. I guess we did close lower, but we didn't close below the low that was hit on this date, which if I pull up the chart over here, that would have been, wow, that's pretty remarkable. So the low over here on May 12th was $100,703.71. So it's a little bit off depending on the exchange that you look at. And so 100,700, right around there. 100,700, right around there. And, I had this purple line drawn here at 102. And then I, from Crypto Corner Stacker, kind of drew a line based on this low, which was just above 100,000, $100,377.01. So I was really just thinking, well, maybe we test that level, but ideally don't take out that low. Don't want to be putting in a lower low. And so I could see an order getting filled at 101,000. And so that happened. I feel fine about that. It wasn't a super huge order. So I'm good with it. It's no big deal. I did have this Fibonacci. Is that, what is that based on? That's an extension to the downside. So from the low, the high here to the low, and then up to the high here. That's suggesting, 100% extension down to just below 99,000. And we did wick below that orange line there. So pretty cool. That did play out as I have doodled here, which I think I had doodled like this previously. But yeah, that's played out very nicely. 99,000 was a nice dip buy level. If anybody was able to take advantage of that, good for you. I personally did not. I took the dip basically where it's currently trading at right now, around 101,000. No big deal. Happy about that. I'm fine with that. And one that I was more aggressive with, and I've been more aggressive with buying the dips on, has been Ethereum. Last week, I had a dip buy at 24.50 and 23.50. Both of those were filled. And then today, following Crypto Corner Stacker yesterday, I had a limit dip buy placed at 21.50. And the low for today, so for Sunday, June 22nd, the low was $2,113 exactly. No pennies. $2,113. So I did get my order filled at $2,150. Feeling good about that. Currently trading around $2,240. So above my average. So I'm feeling good about that. And if it does go lower, maybe it comes down to around 1,900. I just probably more aggressively buy down there. So I'm fine with that. No big deal. And yeah, if there are any requests, I do see that a couple people have joined. Happy to go over them. But I'm probably just going to flip over to C3AI, which is ticker symbol AI over here, which closed on Friday at a price of $23.60, down about 2.3% on the day. And in the overnight trading, so far it's right around $23. So I'll have a look at that. And yeah, I'm just going to take a sip of this. And then happy to take some requests if there are some. But yeah, I mean, we can see this gap here at 23.02 has not yet been filled, but in the overnight trading, if I flip over to the 10-minute time frame, it has been filled. But, you know, that's only going to be valid, in my view, if it's during market hours. Did hit a low during the overnight trading of 22.88, now currently at exactly 23. So, yeah, I mean, I suspect that that gap will be filled tomorrow. And then what do I have doodled over here? This clearly did not play out as I have doodled there. This is not a parallel channel. It's just kind of, yeah, I mean, this is, looks like not necessarily a rising wedge, but, you know, it's like downside move and upsloping consolidation. It seems kind of like a bear flag a little bit. And so, yeah, I mean, what I could see happening, I'm sure not too happy about this, but I could see this coming down, filling that gap at 23.02, going lower than that, then bouncing up to around 25, getting rejected there, and then confirming the breakdown before going lower. So that's something that I could see. But just like the doodle that I just deleted that I was wrong about, I could very well be wrong about this one. But it just makes me think that, you know, there's this uptrending consolidation. It's broken below. And then what you would get is a retest, not being able to reclaim those levels, getting rejected from 25. And that would just be kind of like the nail in the coffin, that this would be going lower. And so I guess if that's the case, maybe I could do a Fibonacci retracement from the low over here at 1703 up to the high of 3024. And I'm just going to make sure those levels are correct. 3024, 1703. And I'm going to adjust the proportions because only got the 786 there. That's to the downside. The 618 is where I've doodled that line to. And we are currently right around the 50% level. And so what I might do, I'm just going to recolor these uptrending levels as light blue so they're not distracting from the Fibonacci retracement that I just drew up there. And so, yeah, the white levels, Fibonacci retracement, we got the 50% at around 2363 currently. I mean, we effectively closed below that on Friday, currently trading below that. And yeah, I mean, I think that this could be heading lower. 2208 or, you know, right around 22 is the 618. So I think that could potentially be acting as some support. It was support over here. But there's nothing that really stands out to me too much. I mean, there was this consolidation over here, but I think this could be heading down to around the 786 at 1986 or around $20. That does seem like a possibility. I do think that AI could be doing really well. The market cap for this company is over $3 billion, so I feel better about that. It's not in the millions. That would make me a little bit concerned for an AI company. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a possibility that this bounces from 23, gets rejected from 25, and then starts to go lower, maybe finding support at 22. If not, I would think that $20, a whole dollar number, a whole dollar bill number, $20, I think that could be happening. That does correspond with a little bit of consolidation over here, and that would then be putting in a higher low relative to the low over here at 1703. So that's kind of my perspective on that. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much else to say about that. I do see that there are a couple people that are joining the stream. If you do have requests, let me know in the live chat. Otherwise, I might just open up my stonks tab, which is the stocks that I hold, and just ramble about those. So yeah, let me know if there's something you specifically want me to go over. Otherwise, yeah, I'm just going to do kind of my own research, although I've got orders placed, so I'm not really doing anything until market opens. I'll be at work. I'm just going to be chilling tomorrow. But the UVIX, this is not spiked up as much as I would like. It would be nice if it got up. It was at 32 now, then I'd feel more confident about my trim levels. So maybe I want to trim out at break even rather than 10, 20%, I think are the levels that I have marked on for limit sells and stuff. But yeah, let's see. Maybe an interesting one for us to look at is Tesla. I'm super excited about Tesla. Hey, Antoine, what's up? I am doing well. Yes, probably too well. Started enjoying my day a little early. You weren't coming up under YouTube. Oh, weird. It might be, I don't know, maybe because, let's see. This should be all good. Just making sure. I mean that you're chatting with me and stuff should be good. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Maybe because I placed or I uploaded the I created the link less than an hour before it started, so maybe that's why. And if you're wanting me to look at Unity software, I'd be happy to do that. That is on my list for my tickers. But if you're just saying that just to let me know, then that's fine too. If it's shorthanded you. But yeah, I'd be happy to go over Unity software. But I might just go over Tesla real quick. I'm super excited. I feel like, throughout my life, there's always been like a concern around Elon, or initially for me, a concern about Tesla being able to succeed. Like back in 2009, when I first dabbled in the stock market. And, I've just been proven wrong so many times. I just feel like there's so many people who just hate Elon or, whatever, that I hadn't really invested much in it. But I now have a few shares, so not a very big position. But I'm just so excited about the robotaxi event that's been going on in Austin. To be honest, I'm really inspired by Austin, the city. I feel like just seems like it's, a great place for whether it's creativity or inspiration or innovation. And yeah, so, of all these tickers that I have here, these are ones that I hold in some way, shape, or form. Tesla, most of these are down in the overnight, but Tesla in the overnight is up. And that's because they've been having the robotaxi launch, opens up its AI story. I'm never sure how to pronounce this. Reuters news schedule. That's nothing. Tesla robotaxis are here. What you need to know update. I've just been seeing a lot of videos, just really excited about it. And I do think that, I don't need to get into this too much. If people want, I see some other comments in the chat. But, pull back here, then bounce, consolidation. This looks a little bit like a bull flag. And so with that, I could do a little Fibonacci extension from the low here to the high here, and then down to this low. The 100% extension would be suggesting a price movement up to around 575.59. I'm just really inspired by Tesla. I'm excited by Tesla and Elon. And, it's kind of like that scene in Elf, when Will Ferrell's character Buddy, he's in love with Zooey Deschanel's character. I don't know her name, but he's just like, I'm in love. I don't care. Whatever. I just kind of feel like that about Tesla, Doesn't matter what people say. I'm in love with Tesla. And, but yeah, so continue on with the chat that Antoine San got a good one for everyone. UCO. Check it out. It's an oil stock. Cool. And so I've gotten a commodities tab somewhere that has some random stuff in here. And so I might add UCO to this list, and I'll just leave it there. Oh, ProShares Ultra crude oil. One thing I've learned about ProShares is when there's an ultra, that means it's leveraged. So that's cool because I have been aware of the SCO, which if we look at this, this is 2x inverse, so 2x leverage short crude oil. I believe this is crude oil, or maybe it's just oil. I'm not really sure. Yeah, crude oil right here. And the one that I had been aware of, excuse me, sorry, that's the fault of this. The one that I had been aware of is, let's see, USO, which is United States Oil, which is not pro shares. This is not leveraged. And I had been curious about one that's leveraged to the upside. And so that would be UCO, which I imagine is 2x, 2 times the daily performance of Bloomberg Commodity Balanced WTI. I'm not sure what that stands for, but crude oil. And yeah, so this closed on Friday at 27.87. And this is at, up 1.5% on Friday, but then after hours went up just 2 pennies, so basically flat. But then the overnight, it is up about 2.5% or around 70 cents. One thing that I would caution about this, I personally don't have a position whether it's long or short, but I do feel like spikes in oil could be short-lived, and the reason for that. Oh, Antoine, thank you. Where's my mustache? I shaved it at the beginning of the year. I just needed a break. Yeah. So I think it's, just getting older. I felt too old. So yeah, sorry if you like the mustache. I do appreciate the super chat. It's very nice of you. And it's saying thanks, Greg. Let's see, Greg. Oh, yeah, because Greg is saying thumbs up, and I had a second chance to buy Tesla a while ago, so I got that $91 average and another average in another account under 120. And so before going on to UCO, I'll come back to it in just a second, but just going to pull up what he's talking about, what Greg is talking about from the stonks list. So Tesla, very nice work with those dip buys. I guess if you guys are curious, I am very proud of the dip buy that I had, which I believe was, actually it was over here on August 5th. The low, I think, was 182 exactly on the day. I didn't need to see that, but my average fill, I just got one share on that day, was 185. And I had actually bought the dip over here, but I trimmed out of my position and exited up here. And through that process, I realized, no, Tesla is one I believe in. I just want to hold it. And I don't want to be too aggressive with my buys, but I want to just hold it. And so I got the one share over here, held that all the way up to here, didn't sell. And then on the way down here, I just slowly got fractions of shares down to here when Tim Walz was, trashing the company. It might have actually been over here. And and then I now have 3 shares, so nothing too exciting. But I, to be honest, want to get more. My average is right around 250. I think I actually have a stop loss at 260 for 2 of my shares just to manage risk. I was buying the dip over here, and that's, ultimately why I have 3 shares now. But I kind of feel like, if this is to pull back to around 300, I believe where this alert is, then, I'd probably want to add more. And yeah, I don't have any vacations planned, but I really want to go to Austin, because I feel like with what Elon's doing there with Tesla, I live in a small college town. I hate it, but I'm not too far from Chicago. Whenever I go to Chicago, I'd see Rivian Amazon vehicles on the street. I'd see whatever, robots delivering things. I'd see the new innovation on the street, but I don't think that it would be the same if I were to go to Austin. I think that I'd see a lot more of that. The comedy there, the bats under the bridge. I like bats a lot. So yeah, I'm just super inspired by Tesla. I think this looks like a bull flag. I think this is going higher. I think it's a long-term hold. And I think it's like, just like the funny thing about the robo-taxi event today, $4.20 per ride. You're not allowed to tip. I could probably pull that up on X if you guys are curious, but I have to dig through some stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you select tip, it says, it's not allowed. And that's just $4.20. If that's scaled throughout all major cities, maybe even getting into some college towns like the one I live in, that's just a huge amount of money for Tesla. And, that could be just for Tesla with their, whether it's cyber cabs or robo-taxis, or if people are utilizing their vehicles for to be utilized as robo-taxis, Tesla would get a cut of that. And yeah, I mean, and then also Optimus, it just seems like there's so many somewhat like subscription or like ongoing payment type of things going on with Tesla. I don't understand how you could not be bullish on it. This is like, Tesla is like Apple was back in like the late 90s, like when, or maybe it was, yeah. In the late 90s, I remember when I was in high school, we had the iMacs that were the different colored ones, and it was like the beginning of that innovation, the beginning of that, think different. And then that kind of just swept the world, but it's kind of died down. And so I feel like Tesla is like today's Apple, and just so many fronts. So I'm just really excited about them. Lots of stuff in the chat now. So I'm just going to try to catch up on those, and then I will go over the crude oil for Antoine in a second. Let's see. If you play UCO right, you could make a lot. 100% there, which I will go. I'll pull it up so I don't get distracted by something else. But I did want to pull up a couple tweets that kind of basically go over my thought process, which is coming from, is it Joe Lonsdale, one of the co-founders of Palantir? He posted something that I followed up on, and I did not get a response from him. But I just kind of an interesting way to think about things. And then Antoine saying, Greg, how many shares of Tesla do you have? Fractions. Andy, do you have Moomoo? I do actually have a Moomoo account. And if you guys would like, I could put the link to the description in the description of my videos. I do have a Moomoo account, but I don't use it. In all honesty, I just mainly use Webull, Robinhood, and then Coinbase, and those are the main ones that I use for trading. So I just don't. I haven't really tapped into Moomoo much. Over 40 shares. Congrats, Greg. That's awesome. 40 shares of Tesla. Yeah, I mean, and also one of the things that, I feel like this is one of the nice things that my channel brings to stock market type channels, is that I try not to, but I like, I don't have much of a filter. I mention, how large my position sizes are, and I think a lot of times they're kind of embarrassingly small. One person that I would contrast myself with is like Colin Gladman, who trades Tesla a ton. He really knows the stock. He understands the volatility, and he's trading like hundreds of thousands of dollars with that. And it's like, I can't do that. That's somewhat inaccessible to me, but at the same time, it's really, I think it's good to just view the stock market as like percentage moves, not about dollar amounts or number of shares, but just percentage moves. And because I mean, you could I might make $1 on a trade, but maybe I only risk $10, and so that's a 10% move. That's nice. Ideally, I'd be making more than that, but that's not nothing. And when you get into that practice of taking that, of exercising that discipline of taking profits at like 10%, that $1 soon becomes $10, soon becomes 100,000 and 100,000 and so on. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's something that's appealing about my channel, that I only have 3 shares of Tesla, but I mentioned I do have a stop loss for 2 of them, but that's just, I need to be managing risk, and, I'd probably buy those shares back. Maybe I'd buy them back higher. But trying to get better at that because I want to be holding Tesla long term. But if it goes below 260, I'd want to be able to buy those back there. And Antoine's saying wow to Greg. I think it's about 43 shares right now that it actually has. Ed, can you take a look at my ticker? ChargePoint. Yeah, I could definitely do that. I'm going to first go over UCO first because Antoine's waiting. Please give Andy a thumbs up. Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you want. And INDO is what Greg's saying. I'm not sure what that means. INDO. I'm actually going to note these down just so I can add timestamps. I went over AI. I went over Tesla. I'm now going to go over UCO. Then I'll go over ChargePoint. And then I think INDO, if that is a ticker, I'll pull that up. And small positions are, this is coming from Antoine, and I'm going to imagine, I haven't finished reading it, but I imagine I agree with it. Small positions are nothing to be embarrassed of. At least you are investing. People waste money on lesser things, 100%. And, one of the things that I've maybe, and to be honest, maybe this is a huge mistake, but one of the things I've been doing with crypto is I go over this crypto corner set stacker is a lot of my positions I've built just by adding $1 a day. And, some of them I'm down on, most of them I'm down on right now, to be honest. But one of the nice things about doing a very small addition to a position, whether it's a stock or crypto, whatever it is, commodity, doesn't matter, is that it's just $1 a day. So it's, no sweat. I don't notice that it's not like, oh, I just spent $300 buying one share of Tesla, or I just spent $3,000 buying 10 shares of Tesla. It's just, a little bit here and there, less than a coffee a day. And then if I see, Tesla, oil, whatever it is, whatever cryptocurrency down, I'm not too emotional about it because it was just like my spare change effectively that was going in it. So I feel like that's a really nice way to kind of disconnect the emotions from investing, and then you are building a position. And like Tesla, I suspect will have to do a reverse stock split, and sorry, not a reverse split, a split, and then you just get more shares for what you have. And so I think that's just a really nice way to be growing over time. And on saying scratch ChargePoint, they have a reverse split or get delisted. I've talked about that. I'm gonna if you're saying that, I'm gonna bring them up because I've talked about that, and I've been said, there have been naysayers about my analysis on ChargePoint. I've been talking about it for months. And so I'm looking forward to actually pulling that up. ASTS, an example, only have 15 shares, but my average is good. That's great. And then, it's like one of the things that I think is really interesting about stuff like that, though, is if like you only have 15 shares and you wish you had 30 or you wish you had 100, like I think 100's a really nice share count to have because then you can sell covered calls on a weekly basis. One covered call, make a little bit of money on those shares that you got. But when you do have a small position, it's like, let's say you get up like 2x or maybe 50% up, whatever it is. It's like, well, it looks like there's resistance there, but I don't have as big of a position as I'd like, so I'm just going to hold. But like one thing that I found with Intel, I only have 4 shares of Intel, and I think I had 5 or 6 before, but I did trim. It's like it becomes tough to trim when your position's so small because it's like, oh, I wish I had more. But it's like, no, I'm just going to trim. I'm up like 40%, whatever. That's cool. If it goes back to my average or below, I'll add those shares back. If it doesn't, I'm just going to hold them forever then. It's fine. So I think that kind of like forever mindset is good to have, not with like something's bleeding down forever. I am just going to hold it as I'm in the red, but if it actually goes up, just to be like either to add as it goes up or to just chill and wait for if it does go red, then I'll add more. But yeah, those are the best positions to have. So ASTS, maybe I'll pull that up just to mention it, but I won't go over it in too much depth. And Antoine saying, I have a small portfolio also, blew up 2 accounts, one from a divorce. I'm sorry to hear that. I have to say, I am fortunate. I have not yet been married, so I have not yet been in a divorce. So sorry to hear that. I come from divorced parents, and I really just want to find my, I've not gotten to the point of even getting to marriage, so I can't even say anything about this. But, I want to be, kids are cool. It'd be cool to be there someday, but it's like, I just want to find, a person that's a total compliment to me. I haven't found that person yet. I feel like I've been close. Once. Super cool person, but she wasn't, in the way that I was a partner for her, I don't feel like she was a partner for me. And, but yeah, she's on her way to being married, has a little girl now. So very happy for her. Wonderful person. I hope that's, not to get into too much personal stuff, but I hope the divorce ended well. People were able to walk away amicably, but if not, I understand how it goes. My parents don't really talk to each other, so I know how that is. But yeah, anyways, enough rambling. Let's talk about UCO. And before I actually get into the chart, I did just want to pull up this. It's going to be from my profile. There might be some garbage on it. I'm sorry about that in advance. Wait, this is... Oh, I might have. No, I did repost it. Oh, yep. So this is from Joe Lonsdale. He posted this, thank you for your attention on this matter with the B-2 bomber. And this is just a clip. You can find it on my X profile. And basically one thing that he said in it, I'm not going to play the video in case I get like copyright strike or something. But one of the things that he said at the very end of it is that Iran has like this childlike stubbornness. And so I just kind of followed up with that, which I didn't really get. Actually, maybe sometimes it's better to say STFU. I don't know why the guy said, sometimes it's better to say STFU. I don't get that. I don't want to like censor that guy, but it's like, what's your problem, man? I just said, threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz. And so that is the strait between Iran and the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. And the reason why that's an important strait, I'll just pull it up. This is relevant for oil. So Strait of Hormuz. And so that is the strait here. And actually, I might want to pull this up on maps because... Open in maps, because, I was thinking about this. This is not like a passage to the Mediterranean like you get with the Red Sea. And so we actually had, an issue with the Gulf of Suez, I believe, the Suez Canal, I imagine. During the pandemic, you guys might remember this, that there was a ship that got stuck here. The Suez Canal, that's pretty cool, just zooming in, seeing this hydrographic feature, this very clearly engineered feature there, that canal. There was a ship that got stuck there, and so that blocked passage between the Red Sea and the Mediterranean. This would be, what's the name of this? I used to study the ocean and actually marginal seas. I forget the name of this part of the Mediterranean Sea. But I didn't study this. I actually studied the Black Sea up here. But anyways, that was, a big deal as far as global shipping and stuff. The Gulf of Oman is connected to the Persian Gulf or the Arabian Gulf, however you want to phrase it, I guess, via the Strait of Hormuz. But that is not a thoroughfare. That is not a throughway to the Mediterranean or anything. That is just to get to, I imagine, the shipping ports or the oil that would be obtained from either Iran up here, Iraq over here, Kuwait over here, or Saudi Arabia. So I would imagine that a lot of Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, and Iran's oil, and the United Arab Emirates oil, and Qatar, I guess. I have no idea how many of these countries we get oil from, but basically their oil distribution throughout the rest of the world could be blocked if Iran closes this down. But that's, not to say, like, there are other oil producing countries, including the US. We also have reserves. So I don't think that this is really as big of a threat as it could be. This represents blocking off about 20% of the oil to the world. So that is a pretty big percentage, but how long is that going to happen? And that makes me think of the quote from Joe Lonsdale saying that there's this childlike stubbornness. So my thoughts are that threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz seems like an extension of the childlike stubbornness. Any spike in oil prices that may follow will likely be short-lived, in my opinion, as it is an emotional, childlike response. And so that's really just like, does Iran have any leverage? If they do have leverage, it would be with oil and it would be with the Strait of Hormuz. But that to me seems like a pretty desperate, emotional, childlike response, because not only would that be cutting off oil leaving the region, that would also be cutting off money that Iran could be, taking in. So it's like, I don't know if throwing the baby out with the bathwater is the correct phrase, but I think that they're not in a really good position to negotiate. So I think they would probably be feeling the negative economic consequences of shutting this down, perhaps quicker than the rest of the world. So it's like shooting their foot, shooting themselves in the foot. So I don't think that's necessarily a good strategy, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But so any spikes in oil, I think, could be short-lived. If we do look at this, since this is leveraged, I might actually just have a better time looking at the oil chart over here. And I have actually done some drawings on this, I believe. And so, yeah, we do have the 786 up here that's going up to the high here. So I would think that the high over here from like January 15th, that's going to be around $79, I imagine, per barrel, but I'm not exactly sure. $79, January 15th. So if we go over here, January 16th, this is 15th, the high was $31.64. So I could see, I'm actually going to go to the close of that day just so there's a little bit, it wasn't just a kiss of the level to the penny. The close was at $31.49, so there would have been more opportunities to sell there, basically. And so I could see that level as being one to potentially take some profits at, because, maybe it does go higher than that. But what could happen is this goes up, bumps into that level, pulls back to where there was prior consolidation, and then goes up and then does something like that. Could be a pathway. And the reason why I said it came down to this level is because that was resistance over here. So maybe it could be resistance again. And also that looked like, we had some support, but it did go a little bit lower than that. Basically where we're at right now. So I think that going up to around 31, that could be a nice level to trim or at least assess, manage risk around that level, because I don't think it's just going to be a straight shot up. And I think that Iran is very, they have very few cards on the table. I can't say that they don't have any, because they do have some. They have been able to make some threats, but, how is the world responding to it? Maybe we'll see over the course of the next week that we're not responding to it that well. But I think with like the pullback in the The S&P 500 that we're seeing in the overnight trading, the little bit of an uptick in the UVIX, the futures of the VIX, I don't think that it's really that exceptional. So I could see UCO, like I said, stopping out around $31.50, but maybe, it doesn't get quite that far. So maybe 31. And so from like 28.42 right around, let's see where it's at currently, if I can get it to 28.43, so 1 cent above where it's currently at. That would represent about a 10% move to the upside. To 31 is just over 9%. So maybe that doesn't seem like it's that huge, but I expect there to be a lot of volatility because I would think that, the U.S. just attacked Iran to, the phrase that they've been using, which I feel like is a little vulgar, is, decapitating like the military and, stuff like that and their nuclear program. But we've kind of like even further decapitated that by the bunker busters that were deployed. Iran's going to respond to that. And because, Iran might respond by cutting off access to the Persian Gulf and the oil that we would get from there, the world would get from there, maybe President Trump would open up some of our oil reserves or reservoirs, whatever they're called, reserves, I believe, to kind of balance that. So I think there could be kind of an up and down to this if it does continue to go higher. But yeah, 31.50. And then I guess, this is kind of getting ahead of myself, but I could just do like a Fibonacci retracement to see where it could be pulling back to. And let's see, just see the 236. Maybe that would correspond with around, levels there. Yeah. So, 28.30. That's around where it closed at. So I could see it doing something like I have doodled up there. So 31 to 31.50 might be a good level to trim and or exit is my thoughts. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's see. Anon is saying close the Hormuz. Yeah, it seems like that's going to be happening. Greg's saying oil going to boom. I believe it. But yeah, it's up about 60 cents from where it closed at on Friday. I think it's probably going to go higher, but then it could be topping. Actually, I might put an alert just for myself, just for entertainment, I guess. Oh, wait, no. How do I do this? Alert. Create an alert. I might do one at 31 and then another one. Oops. At 31.50, because I would be curious if I get an alert on that, I pay attention to it, and then maybe we get some news that Trump is opening up the oil reserves, and then this might come down a little bit superficially before, the continued closure of the Strait. Then this goes back up. I don't know. But yeah, so stocks like Indo, HUSA, yes. So I'll do Indo /HUSA. So I'll note that as well. Greg is saying yes. Low floats also. And EONR. I'll add that. EONR. But then I will continue on, now that I've caught up with most of the chat, to the other ones on the list. I don't have them added here because that is not for pre-market prep, which really should be like ticker request live at this point. So I will add, I don't want to import files. I want to add some tickers. So I will add CHPT, ChargePoint, INDO, Indonesia Energy Corp, HUSA, Houston America. I believe those two would be related to oil. I'm not exactly sure though. ASTS was also mentioned, and EONR, resources, that might also be related to oil. And so, yeah, let's just, did I get all of those? I feel like I had more. ASTS did not get added. There we go. I think that should be it. 1, 2, 3. That should be 5. Yep. So ChargePoint, I don't see anything regarding news regarding reverse split, but they're going to have one, in my view. And one thing that I've noticed is whenever like the news here starts to be very repetitive, it's because nobody's writing anything about them. This is just the same article, I believe, or the same information coming out from tip ranks. Not really that good of a sign. And so I had drawn this doodle, I believe, around their earnings, that I thought that this could be coming down here, forming a bear flag, and then going lower to fill this gap. That did not play out. Pulled back, then bounced, and then pulled back again. Maybe it comes lower to fill the gap at around 62 cents. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I do have some puts in ChargePoint. I believe they're August 50-cent strike puts. I only have a few of them. I'm risking like $10 or something, so it's not a big deal. But I think that this could be heading down much lower if there is to be an announcement of a reverse split. And so if I remember this correctly, they had a notice from the New York Stock Exchange, a non-compliance notice on February 19th, giving them 6 months to regain compliance, which would mean maintaining a closing price above $1 for consecutive 30 days. And so 6 months, so February 19th plus 6 months is going to be August 19th. So this red line that I have marked here, but then I added this yellow line, which is on July 21st, because that is, I believe, 30 trading days, or maybe it's 30 days before August 19th. I'm not exactly sure. It's I don't think I could. There's one on the 18th, and so I think I actually wanted it to be on the 20th, but I couldn't do that, so I just put it on the 21st. And the reason why I have that line marked there is because ChargePoint needs to be above $1 by the open, or by the close, I guess, on July 21st, ideally on the 18th. So the 21st is a Monday, the 18th is a Friday, I guess. They need to be closing above $1 then, and then they need to be maintaining closes, all closes above $1 following that, leading up to August 19th, if they are to maintain compliance with the New York Stock Exchange. And if they're not, then they might be delisted. Or if they're not, then they have to do a reverse split to regain compliance. And so I imagine that there will be an announcement that there's going to be a reverse split before July 21st. And that's just a month from now. But yeah, and I might actually pull up the ChargePoint chart over here, because I had done, I haven't been reading as much lately. I need to get back into reading more. But I kind of drew this, channel thinking that, hey, maybe this is starting to be either accumulation or distribution. This was an upthrust and got rejected, now back at the midpoint. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that this is probably heading lower. But yeah, this green line did not play out. I don't think it will. And I can actually delete that yellow one too. But yeah, don't really have much to add with ChargePoint. So I'll just leave that there, go on to the next one, which is going to be INDO. Looking pretty bullish. I'm just going to look at the profile of this one. Indonesia Energy Corporation Limited is an independent energy company engaged in oil and gas business. The company holds 2 oil and gas assets through its subsidiaries in Indonesia, the Crude block and the Citarum block. It has also identified as a potential third exploration block known as the Rangkas block, or the Rangkas area. The Crude block is producing block covering approximately 258 square kilometers. And this is South Sumatra, North Crude fields. This is all in would that be the Asian Pacific, and so this could be very good what we're seeing with oil if there is to be restrictions to Middle Eastern oil, there could be some benefits to South Pacific oil or oil producers in other regions of the world. So INDO went up only 5%, up only 1% on Friday, closing at around 506. Are there options with this? There are no options. I was curious to see what max pain was. But yeah, this could be going higher, but also, paying attention to the lows over here. This is up already 100%, so it's a little bit risky at this point, but it could do something like, a Fibonacci extension up to here, then like pulling back down. This is kind of wonky. And that could be suggesting, going up to around 750 or maybe like the highs over here, 660. Yeah, but, for me, what I've been appreciating more is, I really just want to invest in like U.S. businesses because of what's going on globally, whatnot, whether it's with China, Middle East, Europe, U.S., tariffs, whatever. A little simpler to just stay closer to home. So, yeah, I think this one's a little bit risky, but generally, actually, let's just look at this, kind of compare what's happened in the past. When it has had these, it's had these, upside moves, and this is like, big upside move, and it did continue, but then it bled after that. Big upside move, consolidation, up more, but then it bled after that. Same here, big upside move, consolidation, continued up, but then it bled after. And so looking where it's currently at, this could be the upside move. It hasn't really consolidated, though, following the upside move. This, I wouldn't really say counts. So maybe this could be going up higher to like 660. That's a more than 20% move to the upside. But yeah, just really corresponding with the high over here at 665 from current price or closing price on Friday. 506 up to there, 30%. So it's way more than 20%. So yeah, definitely some potential there, but could be risky. It is risky. It's always risky. So be careful with that. Hopefully that's some useful perspective. HUSA, Houston, America, American, Amex, HUSA, the profile. Houston American Energy Corp is an independent oil and gas company focused on the development, exploration, exploitation, acquisition, and production of natural gas and crude oil properties in the United States. The company's principal properties and operations are located in, I thought that said Persian, but it says Permian. So are located in onshore Permian Basin and Gulf Coast region of Louisiana. So this is all, U.S. So I feel like this would be a safer bet than something like Indo. But this, down 15.5% on Friday, though. But this could just be, like it's going from the lows here to the highs and then back down. Then maybe there's a fib extension, maybe going up to like 30. So that's like a 2x from where it's currently at. But it could also, fade lower, just like over here. It went up a lot, but then it faded much lower. So good to be cautious with it. They did just have a reverse split. That was 1 for 10. So it would have previously been trading around $1.48. Now at $14.80. But yeah, I think that oil, businesses can fail even if commodities do well. And so I feel like UCO, leveraged crude oil, 2x leveraged crude oil, I feel like that could be a better play if wanting to go bullish, but I think the bullish move could be short-lived, and I think it could be up and down. So good to be cautious of that. ASTS, I'm just going to mention this really quick. This is one that, I think I swung it a little bit somewhere over here. I pointed out this head and shoulders pattern that, let's see, did that play out? Didn't play out what the measure move would have suggested. but it did go down and it just went up. This seems like it could be a topping signal though. The high of 48.94 for ASTS after closing, or prior to closing on Friday at 45.94, it had hit that high of 48.94. That's a big wick to the upside after a gap up. It is in the after hours, I guess. But who knows what it's doing in the overnight, so I'm not even going to speculate on that. After hours, it went up about 17 cents or 0.37%. But, I mean, this could be, I'm just going to delete some of this stuff over here. I think that's fine. It's not really in the way. But just, doing a Fibonacci retracement from the low here, 22.47, up to that high of 48.94. The 236 is at 42.69. I don't think that's too exceptional. The 50%, that would also correspond with pretty miraculously with the high over here, 35.49. So I might just color that one green. Suggest that'd be like a dip buy level. That corresponds very nicely with the 50%. So yeah, I could see this coming back. I'm not trying to be bearish or anything. Congrats to those who hold. It's up massively. Very impressive from the lows over here, up over 100%, up to the highs around 120%. So very nice. Congrats to you all. But if this is to pull back some, if this is a topping signal, 236, I wouldn't worry about. I don't think that's really that significant. So maybe I just do the 382, maybe coming down to around 40. This would be around 39. But if it breaks below that, high over here at 35.49, corresponding nicely with the 50% retracement, around 35.70. So yeah, I could see this. I'm just going to delete the 382. And I'm going to delete all the other ones because I just think that 50%, I don't necessarily think it's going to go lower. There's highs over here. Let's just do kind of the same type of thing. Let's do the closing price from August 19th was 38.60. And so I got that marked there. I'm going to do that one yellow, like it's kind of cautionary. 38.60. So from this fib retracement, let's just add that 382 back up there. Corresponds very nicely with that. So I think it's pretty cool that we're seeing, like an overlapping of levels, these prior highs corresponding with those fib levels, which, maybe it's coincidence. I don't know. But yeah, I think that this could be pulling back to at least $40 a share, possibly lower. And that might not be something that happens over the next week, over the next month, but maybe like months from now, if it does come down to these levels, those might be really nice dip buying opportunities for the longer term. So if you are bullish long term and maybe, one's average is, let's say at 28, but you don't have as many shares as you want, but is it going to come down to 28? I don't know. It might not. And so a nice way to maybe slowly, passively, not too aggressively, dollar cost average into a larger position would be to wait for levels around 40 or 39 or 36. And then if those break, we can look at for other levels to the downside and then, could get more aggressive down at 28. So something to keep in mind there. And then EONR, let's just look at the profile for this. EON Resources is an independent upstream energy company. The company is focused on the development of onshore oil and natural gas properties in the United States. It is primarily focused on producing oil and gas properties in the Permian Basin. And the company's properties are in the Grayburg-Jackson field in Eddy County, New Mexico, which is a sub-area of the Permian Basin. All right, and so, yeah, I think that this is, onshore domestic oil, so I think that's good. And so I think that this could be, performing very well. Although it is 49 cents, down 5.82% on Friday, And, just like the spike over here, it bled after that. And just like the spike over here, it bled after it. Just saw a spike, it might bleed after it. So good to be cautious with it. This one of the oil ones that I've covered, I feel like this one I feel less confident in. I'd say I feel most confident probably in HUSA. And then largely just because it's not American. I'm sorry, it would be INDO. But ultimately, if I wanted to go long or to be swinging anything related to oil, I'd probably be more interested in UCO, which is 2x leveraged long crude oil. Or if I wanted to trade the other side, I'd go SCO, which is Pro Shares Ultra Short, which means 2x leveraged short crude oil. Or it could also be doing USO, which is not short, not leveraged, just straight up United States oil. So that could be something to consider as well. But it is past the hour, so I might get to potentially wrapping this up, but I'm just going to check the chat. I don't see any more follow-ups and stuff. I do have a decent amount of this, so I might just sip on this while I throw up the little subscribe thing. If you guys haven't already, if you haven't liked it yet, please make sure you like the stream. Try to do these every Sunday. I've been doing 10 p.m. Eastern Sundays just because if I do it earlier, it's still light out. Even if I do it at this time, it's still light out, so it's kind of tough to be streaming. And also, need to make sure I have enough time to go to wind down before bed, before work tomorrow. While also getting enough sleep. But yeah, I've got all the tickers in the notes here. And so actually maybe what I might do is I might just add to the description here. It just makes things a little bit easier for me. And then if there are any other follow-up requests, I can, cover them, following just updating this. But yeah, I'm just going to write, I also, or tickers that were requested include C3AI, which ticker symbol AI, Tesla, crude oil, which would be UCO, ChargePoint. Also, what is INDO? Indonesia Energy Corp. Indonesia Energy Corp. Just making sure. Is it Corp? Okay, yeah. And that is INDO. Then I also have HUSA, which is Houston American. Houston American Energy. Houston American Energy. Oops. HUSA. Then I also have AST SpaceMobile. Oh, well, Antoine, thank you so much. Another super chat there. Really appreciate it. I'm just going to add this here. SpaceMobile. I'm not sure if actually, I know it's SpaceMobile, but I like to say SpaceMobile because I think it's funny. Mobile. ASTS. And I do see your super chat relating to AMC, so I will look at that chart in just a second. I'm just going to come back over to here to EON Resources. EON Resources. And then I will also add, EON Resources. Then I will also add AMC Entertainment, AMC. So I'll add that since I assume that you would like me to look at that. So I'd be happy to do that. Great job tonight, Andy. You're welcome. Thank you. Just off the cuff, what's your thoughts on AMC? Heard some bad stuff researching it this week. Might sell. And so I'm going to heart your chat. I'm not too familiar, and I'm going to heart the previous one you gave me. So thank you very much. So my thoughts on AMC, Um, I don't have anything. To be honest, I'm feeling more optimistic. My thoughts are that. So I'm going to look at this on my phone because I just want to share the last time I had bought some calls, or a call that expires in January, but it's possible I still have a buy order for that. So I'll maybe pull it up on the screen. Yep. So I'll pull it up just on the contracts. This is one that I have. This is the $20 strike January 16th of next year call. And so I have 14 of these contracts. My average price is 25 cents. I may very well lose money on this. Just after last Friday, I had some NEO calls that expired worthless, so I lost about almost $800 on that. But I had been actually selling at a loss, trimming out at a loss prior, so I lost more than $800 with that one. And so with any of these contracts, they could go to zero. This would be one that if there's a spike like there was over here, it hit a high of 32, I would GTFO. If it goes up to like 25 cents, I would GTFO at break even. But it did close. Looks like on Friday at 13 cents. I do have a buy for one more contract at 11 cents. And the last contract that I had bought, just pulling this up on my phone just to relay what I'm seeing on it. I did buy a contract for 12 cents. Actually, I did buy two contracts for 12 cents. One on June 12th, one on June 17th, both of them at 12 cents, which is like $12. Just trying to get my average down and, just to be honest, to GTFO. And that's not necessarily because like I'm super bearish on AMC or anything, or same boat, GameStop. It's just that I feel like it's very risky to have options with these stocks because personally, there's a big community around them. That's one of the things that, it's like a pro and con about, FinTwit or FinX, whatever it is that you kind of form these communities and you get to be like emotionally attached to things. I think that's actually kind of a bad thing. But it can also make this, more enjoyable. But with that being said, it's like, oh, well, it's just going lower. I'll just add more. But as things go lower with contracts, the value of them just diminishes over time. So I think that it can just be very risky. And so I personally would rather be stacking GameStop and AMC shares than trying to get averages down on contracts. So for GameStop, I don't have any contracts. For AMC, I do have this one. And like I said, my average is 25 cents, which translates to $25. And the reason for that being is because that one contract costs 25 cents, or you could think of it as like one contract now costs 13 cents. Each contract represents 100 shares. So I'm just going to multiply that by 100 shares. Each contract would then cost $25, or currently $13 to get one. And so I have $25 per contract and I have 14 contracts. So I am currently risking $350. I expected it to be more than that. I can manage losing that much money, but I don't want to. I'm just going to be kind of trying to continue to get my average down on this. But one thing that I did, which you might be surprised by, is I actually bought just one. But I probably will buy another one when the pre-market trading opens, because I do have a limit order placed at $2.98 for AMC. Nothing too exciting. It's just one share. So the last time that I bought a share of AMC was actually on the 20th, so on Friday. I bought one share at $3. But the last time that I bought a share before that was, again, just one share, so pretty lame. That was March 31st, and the last time I bought shares before that was March 13th. I got 11. And so my thoughts with AMC are that I believe one of the last videos that I did, I suggested that there could be this like inverse head and shoulders pattern. in purple, but we didn't get up there. And we kind of stopped out around $4. This would be getting up to around, $5.50, the armpit over here. But getting up to here around $4, I realized, I have this big inverse head and shoulders pattern. But within that, it kind of looks like this purple dashed line. That's actually what put this on my radar. That purple dashed line at 368 was the average share price that AMC sold at to raise capital. They had announced, which I was very unhappy about this, the timing of it. I was unhappy about the timing of it. Friday morning. So on Thursday morning, December 5th, AMC closed at a price of $5.20. And the max pain for that week, I believe, was, we can look back on it. So that would be for December 6th. So let's look at the max pain data over here. And I'm going to look it up for AMC. We can scroll down to look at the historical max pain. And so for December 6th, max pain was 5. We were above 5. We closed above 5 on December 5th. And then Friday, December 6th, during the pre-market, we got the announcement of the raising of capital, the dilution, and it ended up closing at 473 below max pain. So I felt like that was a total rug, not too happy about that. But anyways, that announcement was that we'd be raising capital, I believe 50 million shares, maybe more than that. I'm not exactly sure. But we ended up selling the shares at this purple dash line at 368. That was the average sell price. Coincidentally, that looks like maybe it forms a left shoulder here for the neckline of this inverse head. And now maybe we are currently putting in this right inverse left shoulder. And so it's very not exciting, but I've just kind of decided, and I've contemplated, I might just sell because I want a GTFO, and I think I'd be better off swinging other stocks, that there's not as much of an emotional barricade between, my position and taking profits or cutting loss, because the ape community is so, it makes you feel like selling any stock, you feel bad because like if you're a limit sell or whatever your sell price is right here, the reason that gets filled is because price goes through your level. And so as it goes through your level, you're then looking, levels down here, you're looking at price up here. And you're saying maybe I could just do this on the chart here. Maybe that's a better way to visually do it. Let's say, my limit sell, because I see, hey, the high over here on March 26th was 318. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm just going to place a limit sell. I didn't do this, and I don't plan on doing this or anything. But let's just say hypothetically, that was the high over here. Based on how it's gone following that, that would have been a good level to sell at in retrospect. So if it does go up to 318, I'll sell. And then so on May 16th, hit a high of 318.5, pierced that level, I would have gotten a fill. It would have pulled back a few days, and I'd say, man, I'm happy I sold. I feel good about that. That was smart. Then it breaks through, and I'm just like, ooh, maybe I'm not feeling so good about that. Then it launches higher up to $4.08. I'm thinking, man, why did I sell at 318? It's going to squeeze. I'm going to get back into it, whatever. Bad idea. Pulls back, and then over time, breaks back below that red line at 318, currently trading below it, right around $3 a share. So with selling, there's always going to be some regret, like, oh, I should have held. But at the same time, there's also going to be the, I'm glad I sold. So there's going to be a mix of that. It's going to jerk you around. And yeah, so I've decided that maybe this ends up playing out. Maybe it comes back down to 291. Maybe it comes down to this green uptrend, maybe around 275, somewhere around there. I'm not going to be too aggressive. I'll just do one at a time. But I don't necessarily want to be adding to my call position. I want to GTFO that position ASAP. And I know that some people that tune into their channel are not American or not native English speakers. GTFO is get the F out. And I forget the other, ASAP, as soon as possible. Excuse me if I use some acronyms, initialisms. Sometimes people don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of fear in the market right now. And AMC in the overnight is only down 1 penny from its close on Friday. That's not really that bad. There could be an announcement of some more dilution. This could come down more. So, I don't know. That's something to be concerned of. My average, I believe, is between $8 and $10 a share. And if AMC goes up to those levels, I'm going to trim pretty effing heavily. Because, yeah, I mean, I might be missing out if it squeezes up, maybe, to the 40, 30, somewhere around there, 20. But it's just all about risk, and it's just been like years of sitting in this. So I have a lot less conviction in it. But I feel like, this is how the market works. It, convinces you that you're wrong at the very last minute when you should have the most conviction that, the bottom is in. If I remove my drawings, we have been putting in higher lows. The low over here is 238. Then over here, 245. We're still putting in higher lows. Maybe I want to remove some of these levels. Oh, man, this is like higher lows there. Oh, I just want to make these lines less thick. I think that's my problem. Yeah, that white line, I kind of like that one. Hey, yeah, I mean, this could come down to like the 260s. But, maybe at that point it would do something like, oops. It would do something like this. But yeah, I mean, but then that's all time. That's still only up to like 435 where I've doodled that to. That's by October of this year. But if that arrow's going up, maybe that could trigger something. And like we just had the OPEX, the monthly, quarterly, biannual, so half a year. OPEX was June 20th. And I think that like GameStop and AMC tend to move a lot leading up to, and by that I mean like a month prior to the monthly, quarterly OPEX. So I would think that it's like, so if it's January, February, March, April, June, and then July, August, September would be the next OPEX. That would be one to pay attention to. So I feel like maybe AMC and GameStop could be moving in like August, because I mean, there's this move here. This was in May, a month before the quarterly, OPEX. And the next quarter would be September. And so I would think that these could be moving, AMC, GameStop, whatever, meme stocks could be moving in August. So I think that now the next few months is like the time to, to add or to just hold and chill. But I do think that it could be going lower. And so, buckle your seatbelts if it does come down to around 250. But I don't think it would go much lower than that because the low over here was 253.3. So I don't think it'd go lower than that. And then Antoine's saying in the chat, Greg, Anon, do you guys have any AMC shares? Greg is saying that he does. So, and for me, I mean, like I mentioned, share amount and, my position size and stuff. If you guys are curious, I'm sure, again, it's very small to most. But for me, AMC is my largest position, both in dollar amount and in share size. And kind of the way that I handle it is, maybe this is not so good, but I sell covered calls on a weekly basis. And so I guess I'll just mention what I'm doing with those. But for me, I have a position size of 1732 in my Webull account. And then in my Robinhood account, I have 700. And so that represents that times about $3. I've got about $7,000 locked up in AMC. But then if I do divide that by $3 and multiply it by about 8, that's close to $20,000. That's insane that I've thrown away into AMC. But, valuable lessons have been learned with AMC. I'd probably not still be in the market if it wasn't for AMC. It's just, from being in the market long enough, I've learned other ways, other stocks to trade. And, but yeah, what I do with covered calls, which are very risky, looking at AMC, the max pain for next week. So the 27th and the number of expirations following, max pain is $3. And so I do have an order placed to sell some covered calls that would get filled at open, ideally get filled at open on, actually, I don't think I have them placed because some calls expired and I have to wait until pre-market to be able to place the order. But I think I maybe in my Robinhood account I have them placed already. So yeah, pending order, AMC $7.50 strike for the expiration of June 27th. And that's 4 contracts. And so that's for a limit of 1 cent. So for each of those contracts, I'd get 1 cent times $1. I get $1. But that's, I get $4. That could be put into buying a share or just going into something else. So it's not nothing, but it's not a lot. And I also have some $6 or one $6 strike call that's covered. That expires on the 27th, and then also a $5.50 call. And I believe I sold both of those for 1 or 2 cents, so I got $1 or $2 for them. And so it's really not too exciting. If it were to start closing in the money, like if it were to start closing above 550, which I kind of doubt because max pain's 3, then I'd probably roll the contracts into the following week. And then I guess I could mention in the positions that I do have in my Webull account. So for AMC, I do have some covered calls. I have a $4 strike covered call that expires this coming Friday on June 27th. That's a little bit risky because it's closer to the current price. But if it does start to close or get above $4 a share, I'd roll it to the following week. I also have 5 with the $4.50 strike call with strike for June 20th. Actually, those already expired. Those expired worthless, so I get my shares back, no problem. I did have a $5.50 5 contracts. Those expired on the 20th, and then I do have 6 $5.50 strikes that expire this coming Friday on the 27th. And so that's kind of how I play my AMC, which is pretty boring. Any positions that I have, I try to get up to 100 shares so that I can sell covered calls on a weekly basis. Like I am doing that with GameStop. And so I didn't have that many shares of GameStop, but now I have just over 100, I think 103. And my average is right around 25, or no, actually just below 26. And so every week I sell covered calls, or have been the past couple weeks. I had a strike at 26, and then I plan on rolling it to 27 or to 28. I'm just going to kind of incrementally increase that on a weekly basis. And if it closes in the money, then, I make some money on the shares that I have. If it doesn't, or if I'm able to just keep rolling it, I will continue to keep rolling it, and I'll just make that premium on the position that I have. But yeah, that's kind of the overview there for GameStop. I'll note that as well. This doesn't look so good though with gap down consolidation, but it does remind me of what happened here. Gap down consolidation started to go higher, but there wasn't, a potential war starting around there. There might be here. So maybe a little bit different, but that green dashed line, 2341, is Roaring Kitty's average as far as we know. So that might be, we're right around there. If he is DFV, that means that GameStop is DFV, deep value, at $23.41. So, yeah, I think that this could be seeing triple digits by the end of the year. Maybe not. I don't know. But I think that just fundamentally, Bitcoin just dips. Did GameStop buy the dip? I hope so. I would think that it'd be easy to have a limit buy order placed at 100,000. And that would have been filled with GameStop dipping, or with Bitcoin dipping. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good. But yeah, I am going to wind this down because I need to get ready for bed and whatnot. But, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. I'll probably be doing an overnight market prep tomorrow, but I might be doing a video on a ticker that, just kind of stands out to me, like I did with Webull on Thursday last week. I might do that again, just because these overnight market preps, I don't know if they're as useful as the videos for individual tickers. So if there is something that stands out, probably supported by options data from Unusual Whales, I will do that. If not, then I'll probably just do an overnight market prep. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great start to your week. A great close to your weekend. And I hope that, you guys get a nice rest. And, I hope you're able to relax before the week starts. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's been fun. It was a little quiet at first, but you guys picked it up. Antoine, Greg, appreciate you guys in the chat. And Antoine, thanks for the super chats. Really appreciate it. Greg, you're welcome. I will see you guys maybe tomorrow night for a stream, but maybe I'll try to do a video as well. So I'll see you guys then. Have a great start to the week, and be prepared for volatility, whether it's oil, stock market. We could be getting jerked around, so be prepared for that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity in this market. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Take care.